Good afternoon, everybody. Big Mike back here with you once again. Welcome back to Big Mike Talks, where today I'm going to be talking about the rest of the week that was in pro wrestling. So that is going to be AEW Dynamite and AEW Collision. Sorry I didn't get to see WWE SmackDown. I was out with some friends. So hopefully you understand. We are going to get into that today. Tomorrow is going to be my review for Night of Champions. Don't worry, we'll get to that one. But first, we're going to cover AEW Dynamite. It opens up. I usually don't cover this because it's usually, just people walking. But we see Tony Storm and Luther walking into the arena. It looked like Tony was about to start cutting a promo when out of nowhere, Mercedes Moné pushes Luther right into Tony Storm. They brawl for a little bit, and then Moné drags Tony Storm out onto the stage, where Moné gets a microphone, which this is going to be interesting. So Moné says, "You really want to embarrass me? Let's go." So, Moné locks in the statement maker on the ramp. Officials are out to break it up, which they indeed do. Then Mina Shirakawa comes out, runs off Moné to at least off-screen a little bit. But then we see Moné for a little bit more. And she says, "Oh, you want to play games? Let the games begin." And she walks off. I am loving this feud. This is great. This is the best of both people we're getting. And it's going to turn into something great. This feud should main event All In. Anyway, so we have a beat. Go for a card rundown. And then we see the Young Bucks on the Titantron. And they pretty much say, "Well, Swerve, I know you've expected your match to go on later on tonight, but we're going to bump it up a little bit to right now. Hope you're ready." So, Will Ospreay's music hits. He's sprinting to the ring. He's taping his wrists. He gets in the ring to tie his shoes. That's when Swerve's music hits, and he just kind of walks out. So, two very different setups. I guess Swerve was a bit ready, a bit more prepared than Will Ospreay, but we'll see. And it leads us into this very interesting little matchup. It's Will and Swerve taking on Blake Christian and Lee Johnson. And I say it's interesting because it was way more competitive than I thought it would be. But yeah, this was a great little back and forth match. With Will Ospreay getting a crazy looking hidden blade. And then a super kick, followed by a brainbuster house call combination for the winners of Will Ospreay and Swerve. At that, kind of early on also, the Young Bucks come out to sit ringside. After the match, Swerve and Will go after the Bucks, but security gets between them. Swerve and Will go back in the ring. Swerve grabs a microphone and says, "I had to deal with this BS this entire year. I'm not going another year with you. Why don't we do something about it? It's going to be us, Swerve and Will, versus you, the Young Bucks. And I know the perfect place for it." Points to the All In sign. All In! So then Will takes the microphone from Swerve, says, "Yes, bruv. And I feel like we should raise the stakes. And while we do have a certain level of respect for you, there's more people that you owe the existence of AEW for. We are done with the power you're observing. We'll strip the power online. Why don't you put the EVP titles on the line? And at that point, Swerve, who moved to the outside apron, takes out the security with a big dive, and Will and Swerve run off the Young Bucks. So, yeah, that was a very fun opening couple of segments. A lot of them were short yet sweet, but made their point. Which is why I'm loving the build to All In right now. They're focused, they're ready to go, and they're telling some interesting stories. And honestly, speaking of an interesting story, we then get a Collision highlight from the return of Kota Ibushi. This man has been out for, feels like a year, maybe more. But yeah, good to see him back. Can't wait to see what he does. Then we go backstage for a Young Bucks promo, where it seems like Matthew takes the lead, where he says, "You dumbasses, we get the little trick you played. You put your hands on an official, so you're suspended without pay going forward." So then Okada walks in, says, "I just wanted you to say hi to a few new friends." This brings in Rocky Romero, Trent, and Konosuke Takeshita of the Don Callis family. And Rocky Romero says, "Look at us all on the same side." And then we have the same goal, to hurt Kenny Omega. Then Trent Seven says, "Watch me tonight and what I do to Kota Ibushi." So Trent, Romero walk off. Then we see Takeshita step up to Okada. I didn't quite get what he said, but they have an intense stare down. I got a weird feeling Okada's going to be winning the match with Omega. Like, I got this weird feeling. Anyway, this leads us to our next matchup of the evening. You got Kota Ibushi taking on Trent Beretta. And this, I'm going to say this. Kota definitely looked good in the ring. He's definitely slowed down a lot from his previous style. But he's still so intense. And this wasn't nearly the biggest one-sided match of the evening, with Trent trying to lock in his own submissions, but eventually Kota Ibushi with some knee strikes locks in the Kamigoye, I do hope I'm pronouncing that right, to pick up the submission win. And as Ibushi's celebrating, out comes Kazuchika Okada. Okada gets in the ring. They have a stare down. But then Okada just bails. But then we get on AEW Dynamite next week, so this coming Wednesday, we're getting Okada versus Kota Ibushi on episode 300 of AEW Dynamite. That is honestly wild. I can't wait to see that. So then we go backstage for a Jon Moxley promo, where he says, "I only have the present. Adam loses time and again. Will the real Adam Page show up? I don't think so. Hangman is afraid for the world needs him, for the man he needs to be. I haven't walked the path I walked as a champion. I have zero empathy for your crap. A world champion walks into the fire, and while you show your gifts, people think you know who you are. I don't care who your friends are. When you're dealing with the head, I'm going to show you what a real champion looks like. So, yeah, definitely some intense words from Jon Moxley. Like, dude talks fast, so I can barely keep up with him. So then we go to a different backstage area where we're getting an AR Fox interview. Where he's like, oh, I got some great momentum going forward. Then in comes Ricochet, who pretty much says, I got no ill will towards you. I'm looking for people to help me get gold. And there's no better way than you and me teaming up against Jet Speed. So it definitely looked like AR Fox wasn't about to accept, but Ricochet kind of grabs his hand and they shake on it. And he's like, alright, I'll see you out there. So next up, we got a little tag team action players, as it's Jet Speed, so that's Kevin Knight and Speedball Mike Bailey, which AEW, I need some Jet Speed shirts. That would look great on some t-shirts. Taking on Ricochet and AR Fox. And this almost immediately breaks down into a big brawl. Eventually there is some big old diving spots. At one point we see AR Fox do the head rub gimmick to Ricochet, which that's honestly hilarious. There's definitely some great camaraderie here. So AR Fox hits a Spanish fly on Speedball Mike Bailey. They're both down. They're crawling to their respective corners. Bailey tags in Knight. AR Fox is about to tag in Ricochet, but Ricochet then just drops down off the apron and walks off. So then Knight pretty much does what he does. Hits a Sky High and a ULO splash to pick up the win for Jet Speed. And then this leads right into a Jet Speed interview, but this time it's up on the ramp, where Knight pretty much takes the lead, says, with great power comes great responsibility. AEW's tag titles have been held hostage for too long. It's time for the titles to come home. That was actually Speedball. And as soon as he's finished, we see Shelton Benjamin, Bobby Lashley, and MVP MJF come out and pretty much just destroy Jet Speed. I'm talking just beating them up. Benjamin with a couple of suplexes on the ramp. MVP and MJF then grab a table. They set it up. Set Kevin Knight on the table. Bobby Lashley with a spinebuster on Speedball Mike Bailey through Knight and the table. So then MVP grabs the microphone, says, now that we've taken care of that business, gentlemen, let's proceed to handle business the right way. So the Hurt Syndicate theme plays, they hit the ring, do their introduction spiel. MVP continues, we are absolutely begging anyone stand up to the tag team champions, and if Jet Speed can stand up, they'll be willing to give them the shot they want if they can walk. And now I'd like to give time to MJF. So MJF gets on the microphone, says, last week I unmasked and defeated Mystico. Now show some respect. I'm not here to talk about my accomplishment. The reason I'm out here is next week I'm entering a qualifying match for the Casino Gauntlet, and that's one step closer to get back what's mine, the AEW World Title. So as soon as he's finishing that up, Mark Briscoe's music hits. He gets up on the ramp, grabs a mic, says, "Max, can't listen to you. We know you can listen to yourself talk all night. So why don't we clear the ring so I can take care of business?" MJF says, "I don't care what time it is, because unlike you, we are the real stars. And the reason these people like you, because they can relate to you. And here's some advice. You should leave because you'll do what you always do. Lose. So why don't you go back to the chicken farm and pick up all that chicken shit?" So Mark Briscoe retorts, "I see that pain in your eyes. This comes from a place of hurt, and the word of the day is empathy. So, people, let me empathize with him. Because you're clearly trying to confiscate for something. And I'd be too if I was going 30 years in the business with a kosher pickle." So MVP takes the microphone and says, whoa, we are about business. How about we leave the ring and leave Briscoe to it to lose? So the Hurt Syndicate leave the ring. They pass by Mark Briscoe, and MJF kind of trying to get into his face, but Lashley holding him back. So nice little moment, some interconnected stuff that we're going to see in the near future. But first, we got this I want to say it's a qualifying match, but they call it, this is a match for the number one spot in the Casino Gauntlet match at All In. If you don't know what that is, it's pretty much AEW's Royal Rumble. However, it can end within the first two, because the first pinfall or submission gets you the victory. And it's also pinfall or submission, and I believe over the top rope counts as an elimination too. So our participants for this match, of course, Mr. Mark Briscoe, Roderick Strong, the Ring of Honor World Champion Bandito, and Konosuke Takeshita. And I'll say this match started off a little bit slowly, but it eventually boomed. Bandito and Strong just have this energy together, which brought out the best in both Briscoe and Takeshita. So there was this moment where after a cutter by Briscoe, Bandito, he goes up the top rope for a frog splash. Takeshita pushes him off the top. Takeshita goes up there, goes for his flying whatever. Briscoe pushes him off the top. Briscoe attempts the froggy bow, but he misses. So Roddy attempts a roll-up, that only gets a 2. Roddy with an angle slam, which, that always gets me. I'm always a fan of the angle slam. After a big boot, we had a big frog splash from Mark Briscoe. Not Mark Briscoe, Roderick Strong. A froggy pole from Mark Briscoe only gets a 2. Bandito attempts a 21 plex that gets blocked. Takeshita attempts a blue thunder bomb that gets blocked. Roddy with a gut buster. Takeshita with a blue thunder bomb for a 2 count. Bandito with the X knee hits the 21 plex, but Takeshita rolls to the outside. Bandito attempts a big dive, but gets blocked, eats a knee. Roddy with an end of heartache. Mark Briscoe with the froggy bow to pick up the win, in which we cut backstage immediately, seeing the Hurt Syndicate watching on a big screen as Mark Briscoe celebrates. This was a very underrated matchup, and Mark Briscoe getting the number 1 spot. That's pretty big for Mark Briscoe. So then we get a backstage promo from Adam Cole, baby, our TNT champion. Where he says, the Callis family and the Paragon have been a thorn in my side for far too long. So for this, tomorrow on Collision, I'm issuing an open challenge to anyone from the Don Callis family. And oh boy, we'll get to that in a minute. But honestly, I'm going to say this. This is going to be maybe a little bit of a controversial take. AEW really has too many titles. Like, you got 3 pretty much same level titles that kind of feel pointless. So I'm glad they're consolidating the international and the continental title. You gotta do something a little bit more with the TNT title once that happens. Anyway, we go to our next match. Not quite our main event, our semi-main event. And this time it's for the number 1 spot for the Women's Casino Gauntlet match. As we got Chris Statlander taking on Ring of Honor Women's Champion Athena, Willow Nightingale, and Thunder Rosa. And this was definitely quicker than the men's one. They pretty much went at it immediately. One point, Chris Statlander goes for the power bomb, but Willow Nightingale blocks it. It's a neck breaker. Rosa with a big boot. Willow with a big spine buster for a 2 count. Athena with a drop kick. She goes to the outside to brawl with Rosa. Then she tells her minion, Billy Starks, to go and grab the Ring of Honor Women's title. She does, but when she gets back, Athena is just laid out. Because Athena was thrown into the ring steps. Billy tries to go for a suplex, but that gets blocked. Chris Statlander with a suplex off the steps. Cannonball from Athena. Willow Nightingale goes for the Babe with powerbomb. That gets blocked. Then out comes Marina Shafir. She's on the ramp. She's staring daggers right into Willow Nightingale. And then from behind Willow is Wheeler Yuta, who tries to attack Willow, but Willow pretty much overpowers him, including pouncing Yuta right into the second row. That was a great pounce. But off that distraction, it comes Chris Statlander hitting Wednesday Night Fever to pick up the win. And getting the number 1 spot in the Women's Casino Gauntlet. We then get a little video package of the Patriarchy's history, setting up Christian and Nick Wayne's upcoming matchup with Big Bill and not Nick Wayne. What's it? I forget the dude's name. I do apologize. So then we get an FTR interview where they say to pretty much the Outrunners, these two are some great disappointments. We had the victory, But then out came the Outrunners, full speed. It looks like they're about to attack, but Stokely says, whoa, 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 guys. We don't have to do this here. These guys are some freak athletes, some upstanding citizens. So why not tomorrow on Collision, we hit the ring and we clear the air and we get on the same page. So, yeah, maybe we see the Outrunners and FTR at All In. I'm not sure. But before that, we get our main event of the evening. We got Hangman Adam Page taking on the Beast Mortis. And this was a great match beginning to end. These two guys had some great chemistry. One point, Hangman hits a pop-up powerbomb for a 2 count. But Mortis rose to the outside. Hangman goes for a moonsault, misses. Mortis gets back in the ring and hits a big dive. Gets him back in. Hits a Samoan drop for a 2. Hangman Page with a lung blower for a 2 count. Hangman attempts the pile driver, but that gets blocked into a roll-up for a 2. Beast Mortis with a big old Rana clothesline. But then Hangman with a big old buckshot lariat to pick up the win. And then as he's celebrating, the lights go out. We hear a little ruckus. As soon as the lights come back on, we see the Young Bucks. They got Hangman Page's arms separated. And they deliver the EVB trigger. And as the Young Bucks are standing over him laughing, out comes Moxley, Yuta, and Shafir of the Death Riders. Yuta grabs a big old chair. Marina then gives Moxley the chain. Mox then chokes Hangman with the chain for a little bit. Looks like they're about to hit him big with the chair. But out comes the Ops to try to make the save. But the Bucks and Yuta keep them from entering the ring. Then in comes Swerve and Will Ospreay to run off the Death Riders and the Young Bucks. So I am loving how interconnected these stories are. I cannot wait to see what All In looks like. This was another really, really good episode of Dynamite. Hopefully we got some more coming before All In. And then last, but certainly not least, it's AEW Collision, in which, if you missed it, it was actually on Thursday this week. Which, I'm going to say this, it's going to be a little controversial. I think that should be the permanent place for Collision going forward. Because Saturday is just a little awkward. So, anyway, we start off Collision with a face-off between the Outrunners and FTR. So we get Dax Harwood on the mic saying FTR should have been challenging for the AEW tag titles now. Instead, they're having to clear the air. While not long ago you were getting along, now you're enemies? We're trying to figure out what we did. We put you on our backs. We mentored you. The only thing we've done is look out for ourselves. And before you guys make any dumb decisions, think about what you're throwing away. Oh, and we also got a present for you. We see a little video package of FTR and the Outrunners. You know, at first doing the Mega Powers handshake, and then teaming up in a couple matches. Then Cash Wheeler gets on the microphone and says, "The four of us are friends, but jealousy rears its ugly head. You need to realize, Outrunners, calling and our calling, ceiling, You were on top of the world. And then you got your opportunity. What happened? You had your one shot and you got embarrassed. And now you're nothing more than a meme. These people, they're not laughing with you. They're laughing at you. They never cared about you. Yet you turned on us. All you had to do was coast on our coattails. But then you listened to the people. We're not mad at you. You'll learn just like we did. They'll turn on you just like they did to us. And hopefully you'll never be, while you are good, you'll never be FTR good. So FTR began to leave the ring. I believe it was, not Cash Wheeler, Turbo Floyd who said, maybe you're right. Maybe we do have too much fun. Maybe we did come up short in our attempt at the tag titles. But I know what you're wrong about. I'll be damned if people stopped believing in the Outrunners. The biggest mistake is we believed in you. We believed you to take us to the top. Then you dropped us. And the Outrunners were put on this earth to whoop FTR's ass. So FTR begins to come back down to the ring. Stokely Hathaway stops them, and then he turns around and says, "Oh, we would, but FTR doesn't fight for free. You want to fight? We can do it next week." So, some nice little setup for Collision 100, which is awesome. We then get a little video recap of the Ospreay Swerve situation from Dynamite, including them challenging the Bucks to a match on All In and putting their EVP titles on the line. In which, I'm going to say this right now. Tony Khan, do not make physical EVP titles. You don't need that. Just bring them on a contract. You don't need title belts for that. Anyway, speaking of title belts, we got a tag team match player. We have the Patriarchy being represented by Christian Cage and Nick Wayne, taking on Big Bill and Brian Keith. And this match was really, really good. Like, I loved everything that happened. They got some great chemistry. Nick Wayne pretty much in the entire match until Cage tags in when their opponents are down. He attempts a kill switch on Big Bill, but of course he powers out of that. Then Wayne and Brian Keith tag in. Brian Keith with some big old clotheslines, big splashes in the corner, big boot. Christian attempts a spear, but that misses into a clothesline and a boss man slam, which is just crazy. Then we see Kip Sabian. I guess he holds Big Bill's leg a little too much. Sabian then comes down. He's kind of interacting with the fans. Big Bill leaves the ring and just completely destroys Kip Sabian, tossing him over the into the area with the ring bell. Nick Wayne attempts a roll-up, only gets a 2 count. Brian Keith attempts a suplex, but that gets blocked. Into a knee, and then a power bomb. But then Mama Wayne gets up on the apron and distracts the ref on the pinfall, who eventually sees it, only counts a 2 count. Brian Keith with a big splash that misses, goes right into the ring post. Nick Wayne attempts a power bomb that gets blocked, Cage with a spear, and then Nick Wayne with a big gold kick. So your winners, the Patriarchy. So yeah, that's gonna be definitely a fun little match. Was there a little too much interference? Yes, but overall, I think it does make sense. So next up, we got Josh Alexander promo, and it's revealed he is going to be challenging for the TNT title tonight. He continues, still, Adam Cole, you're still our champion for now. We're not strangers in the ring. The only thing is undisputed is you have a bad ankle, and you're not walking out with the title, if you're walking out at all. So, definitely an intense promo from Josh Alexander. Gonna be a fun match a little later on. But before that, we see the Patriarchy. They're walking in the back. Then we hear, as it's MVP clapping for him. As he says, that was an impressive debut. I heard what you guys said. Those are some lofty expectations. But coming from Cage, as great as you guys are, you're still just a kid. But I got a lot of respect for you. I want to see you and Nick Wayne versus the Hurt Syndicate. But heed my advice, don't do it. So Cage replies, I live life by certain rules. One of those rules, never trust a criminal. If you don't know, MVP was arrested when he was a little younger. I'm not so certain of the details, but I'm not going to go over that. So Cage continues, I run AEW. If I want the tag titles, they're as good as ours. MVP then kind of scoffs, says, good luck, you're going to need it, and walks off. I'm going to say this right now. It kind of feels like the tag division is getting a little better. And honestly, if AEW is going to do like a big multi-man at the pay-per-view, let's get the Patriarchy, the Hurt Syndicate, and Jet Speed in there. I think that could be a lot of fun. That could be a fun little triple threat. Showcase some of the newer teams in the division. And maybe get a little sneaky win for somebody. I could see it. And speaking of the tag division, this was a very out of nowhere matchup, but I loved every minute of it. You have Templario of CMLL teaming up with Brody King to take on Henchizero and Rocky Romero. And yeah, this matchup was great. Especially when Rocky Romero and Brody King shared a ring. You definitely saw the, pit bull attitude of Rocky Romero. But Brody King completely annihilated him. Definitely some really good back and forth. Then Rocky and King tag in. Rocky tries chopping the big man down. Brody King attempts a big splash, but misses. Rocky then just with a straight choke, which that looked a little odd. Hitting up an enziguri, hitting a stomp. Templario with a dropkick and a dive. Brody King with the Gonzo bomb to pick up the win for his team. I'll admit this was definitely more of a showcase match. But good lord, this was a heck of a showcase. Then we had a Mercedes Moné video package, followed by a little bit of a black and white retort from Toni Storm, in which she throws a hanky. Then eventually Moné grabs it in, real life. And she's somewhere in the back, starts promo, where she says, "I love playing this game, Tony. It's so easy to win. I see right through you. I'm a true star. Not just some MFer. You're the MFer. And this is my story. It's a death sentence, whether you want it or not. It'll be a beautiful murder. And I'll be walking all over you until all in. And Tony, I want you ringside for my match with Mina Shirakawa. It should be a great show. A great preview for our match at All In." So then we cut to a Toni Storm interview. Mina Shirakawa is there as well. With Tony saying, "Mercedes, these are the kind of mind games you want to play. I can play too. I'll take the But then Mina Shirakawa walks up to her, kind of purses her lips, says, "I'll take the TBS title." Tony starts to speak again. Back to the lips, saying, "No, Tony, I'll handle her." Tony then turns to the camera, says, "Save some for me, because I want to finish her." Oh, that was a great little promo from Toni Storm. Like I said, this matchup should main event All In. Easily. Anyway, next up, we got a little bit of a squash match between Megan Bayne and Vert Vixen. It has been a while since I've seen Vert Vixen. This was definitely the Megan Bayne show. Vert Vixen did get some stuff in, but ultimately she falls to a big clothesline, a face to set to pick up the win. So next we get a little Anthony Bowens promo saying, "Next week I'm entering the Casino Gauntlet match. Next week you see my strategy come into play. I got 5 tools and 1 rule. Prove them wrong." I love this Anthony Bowens. He's absolutely great. Let's give him some more TV time. So next up, we got the TNT title match, as it's Josh Alexander taking on Adam Cole. And Josh pretty much focuses on Adam Cole's leg, constantly locking in the ankle lock. One point, Adam Cole goes for the Panama Sunrise. That gets caught into an awesome looking flapjack. Josh Alexander tries for the ankle lock. Adam Cole fights out of it. Hits a Death Valley driver and a knee drop for a 2. Josh Alexander goes for a C4 spike, but that gets blocked. Adam Cole with a knee. It's a Death Valley driver off the top, but that gets blocked. Adam Cole with some strikes. Hits the Panama Sunrise for a 2 count. Then Adam Cole attempts the boom, but Josh Alexander just collapses before he can hit it. Cole takes a look at Josh Alexander. Supplies ankle lock, but Adam Cole fights out of it. Cole with a suplex for 1 count. Adam Cole attempts a super kick that gets caught. Josh Alexander attempts a powerbomb that gets blocked. Adam Cole with a super kick hits the boom for the win. So that was definitely a very good match. It did feel like it went by a little fast for me though, but I enjoyed it. So then we go backstage. We see Ricochet. He's pulling along his suitcase, saying, "I thought I found a partner, but this guy let me down, blah, blah, blah." He runs into AR Fox, who says, "What the heck was that? You left me at the hands of Jet Speed. Then out of nowhere, the Gates of Agony attack, just brutally beat down AR Fox. They turn around, they face Ricochet. Ricochet, with a big shit-eating grin on his face, says, "Let's go talk in my office." So they leave together. I'm going to say this. Yes. Absolutely yes. That is a match made in absolute hell. And I love that teaming. Now we just need a name for them. Then we get a very interesting video package of the soon-to-debut Alex Windsor. If you don't know, that is Will Ospreay's fiancée. She's going to be debuting for AEW soon, which, all about that. That I'm not really that familiar with Alex Windsor. I may have only seen her a handful of times, but I've enjoyed what she does. Definitely excited for that one. Then we get this very weird women's match as we get Queen Aminata taking on Sky Blue, and it was, I don't know, it was very, very by the numbers. Including Sky Blue hitting the Devil's Kiss on Queen Aminata, which I did not see that coming. Eventually, Sky Blue rose to the outside. Aminata follows her, but Julia gets between Blue and Aminata. Sky Blue then takes Queen Aminata, shoves her into the ring steps, hits a weird-looking knee drop, gets him back in, goes for the code blue, but that gets blocked. Aminata with a leg trip, and then an off with her head, which is her big, like, sliding knee move, which that was interesting for the win for Queen Aminata. Then Julia Hart gets up into the ring, gets in Queen Aminata's face. This brings out Thekla. And she stares down with Hart for a minute. Then Sky Blue from behind attacks Queen Aminata. Thekla and Hart then join in. TJ make the save and run off Julia Hart, Thekla, and Sky Blue. While they're on the ramp, Megan Bayne and Penelope Ford come out, and they have a bit of a three-way stare down. So, I'm not sure if this is like the beginnings of a women's tag division. I would not mind that, but I feel like AEW should consolidate their titles a little bit more before introducing this. But that's just me. Anyway, we get the start of a Daniel Garcia interview, almost immediately interrupted by Rocky Romero, who says, "While Daniel still seemed to have a problem with us, we don't have a problem with you. We gave you an opportunity to join the Callis family, but we see you palling around with Adam Cole. But here's the question. Would he be doing the same if you were TNT champion? And you clearly don't know what real friends look like." So Matt Menard, who was standing there the whole time, kind of gets in Rocky's face. Garcia holds him back. Rocky continues, "You want some real friends / a family? You know where to find us." So Garcia turning heel again. Maybe that's the right call. I'm not sure. Because Garcia does still get some good reactions. I don't know if turning him heel would be such a great idea. Anyway, then we get a card rundown for both Dynamite 300 and Collision 100, which I can't believe that. then in comes the most entertaining match of the week. Not just because these two guys are great, but because of the crowd. As we got Kyle Fletcher taking on Kyle O'Reilly. And throughout the match, you hear all these unique, Kyle-based chants, which is... I love this crowd for that. That was hilarious. And, they go back and forth, hold for hold. Kyle O'Reilly attempts a Juji to Katami. Kyle Fletcher gets in the ropes. Fletcher with a big drop kick. Hits a suplex on the apron. Gets him back in. Hits a kick. Only gets a 2 count. Fletcher attempts a scoop slam that gets immediately blocked into a triangle hold by Kyle O'Reilly. But Fletcher powers out. It's a big knee, a kick, a super kick. But then O'Reilly with the kitchen sink. Hitting a couple knees and then a leg sweep. O'Reilly locks in a guillotine. But Fletcher gets out of it. Hitting a couple of elbows. Kyle O'Reilly attempts another Juji Katami, but Fletcher blocks it. Whiffs on a big boot. O'Reilly with a couple of leg sweeps, couple of knee drops, and then a knee bar in which he grapevines it. But Fletcher reaches the ropes, hits a super kick, big boot, big old drop kick by O'Reilly. But then Lance Archer comes out, he attacks Kyle O'Reilly. O'Reilly attempts a knee drop, misses. Fletcher with a big boot and then a spine buster for a 2 count. Fletcher attempts a big boot, but that gets caught into a roll-up for a 2 count. Kyle O'Reilly with a big knee, a brain buster. Fletcher with a big knee and a brain buster to pick up the win. Then out comes the remaining members of the Don Callis family, who pretty much just beat down Kyle O'Reilly post-match. But then the Paragon, so that's Roderick Strong and Adam Cole, along with Daniel Garcia, make the save. So I'm not sure how this is going to lean into All In, but I am certainly interested to see where this goes. Like I said, AEW are telling some really, really good stories right now. Hopefully you guys have been tuning in for a lot, because it has been so good. So that'll do it from me. Coming later tonight is going to be Monday Night Raw, but instead of starting at 8 o'clock, it's going to be starting at 6 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. So hopefully you can catch that then. Which is in 3 hours. Jesus. NWA Power's on its regular time. Then we got AEW episode 300, in which I got a feeling something big is about to go down on that show. I got my fingers crossed. I'm ready to be sports entertained. I hope you guys are too. And until next time, happy wrestling, everybody. Peace.